Okay, with our project saved, we are going to head back over to our plan and work out what we're going to implement next. So let's add a new, let's change the line of things we've implemented to green. So we've got our calibration image, we've got our model, we now have a virtual view that is our geometry, and that is heading out to a master camera preview. So what we want to do now really is add our projector calibrator, or at least the beginning of it, because this is a multi-layered sort of beast. So the first thing we want to do is add a camera and light to simulate our projector to the scene. So something that allows us to move it around and then cast a shadow or a shape onto the dome surface that we can then catch in a blank texture projection mapped one. So we're going to add a camera and a light that act as a projector, and then we are going to add the other geometry that has a blank texture that can accept shadows. So let's add our camera, and then let's add a light to it, and we're just going to make that a direct child of this projector. And we'll call this Projector 0. And Projector 0 light. So now we have something that we can use. We don't want this to be seen in our main scene, so we're actually going to disable lights in this. Because we're using constants, we don't need to worry about lights being hit anyway, but it's just a good practice to not reference lights inside here. We're also going to make this really specifically reference this geometry that is our dome. So now this render here is using our master camera, which we'll call master camera, and our dome geometry only. And the reason we're doing that is because each of our projectors is going to have its own render node, and we want to be able to make sure that we're not capturing the wrong visuals when we do that. So now we have that. We want to tie this light to a cone light. We want to match the cone angle and the projection angle to be the exact same as the field of view as the projector. And that way it will tie all the matrices up together so that we know it's projecting the right size of image for that projector. Or casting, I should say. And I'm going to move this in the scene. So you can see that this one in green, now that is on the 0 plane, so it's in the dead center, is now our Projector 0. So I'm going to set this to be operator Projector underscore 0 dot par dot field of view dot fob. So I'm just creating a dynamic reference back to this, which is its parent. Okay, so now we've got this reference. We want to clean it up a little bit before we move on to the projector angle as well. So what we can do is, instead of saying every time go and reference this hard-coded one, so I need to go and change that number, if we copy and paste an item, you can see that Touchdesigner automatically increments numbers in the title. And if I do the same with me, it increments as well, but this time it adds one to the end. So if I change the numbers in this around slightly, so it's light underscore 0, and then copy and paste, you can see this then becomes projector light underscore 1. So what I can say is go and get the projector angle of the number of me in a projector. So if I do underscore projector plus me.digits, which is the Python to go and get any numbers in your title, and then I'm going to tell it to be a string. So now nothing will change. If I change the viewing angle of my projector, it will still update the light. But now it means that if I copy and paste them, I can have two independent lights. So you can see the field of view changing on this one, but not on this one. And then in here, instead of me copying out this whole reference, I can change the projector angle to be me.par.cone angle. So what I have now is I have my cone angle is programmatically referenced to link to the projector that is the same number as me. And then my projector angle is set to be the same as my cone angle. And that means now that when we add a constant, that is most likely where our reference is going to come from, our projector's field of view can be controlled by the constant. And then that constant will then update into the light as well. So everything is working correctly. This is just a little programmatic fun here, but it will help us in the long run when we come to implement our virtual projector controller that allows the user to move it without actually having to know how to navigate this UI here, for example. Okay, so now that's added, what we need to do is a bit of camera trickery. This camera acts as a viewpoint users can use as reference, and this light then acts as the projector that reprojects the image that that camera is seeing. But to reproject it, we need to give it a new surface, because here we already have a constant that has a material. We want to apply a new material based on what our cameras are seeing. So I'm going to duplicate this and add a new blank constant to that structure. But instead of dealing with the color, I'm going to apply projection maps to it. So now this is a material that will exclusively accept light back from the scene. I'm going to give it a render, virtual preview. I'm going to give it the geometry. I'm going to give it the camera. And then I'm going to tell it to get all of the lights in our scene that are projectors. So I'm going to say projector underscore light underscore star. And that will get all of our formatted lights in this sense. So if I add another one, you can see it also adds a link. The final thing we need to do is add a render for this here so that it knows what it's seeing. So again, I'm going to add another render. I'm going to call this proj underscore render underscore 0. I'm going to give it our camera. I'm going to tell it to only get our main colored dome, and then I'm going to tell it not to get any lights at all. I'm going to add a null onto this, and I'm going to say proj underscore output underscore 0. And now, if all things has gone smoothly, if I give this as the reference for our light, you can see that we can see what is being projected inside our preview. And you can see how close this is, that is relatively what this light is actually seeing. You need to ignore the circle and remember that projectors project squares. Our projector is 1920 by 1080, let's say, so we get a slightly higher resolution. And then I'm going to move it into a more suitable position, and I'm going to do that by moving this projector. So I'm actually going to not render this in my geometry panel. So I use the blue node to not display it in my geometry, so I still only see this here. But I am going to enable this panel at the bottom. I'm going to do an operator viewer and attach my virtual preview, 1920 by 1080. So an actual output. Now I am going to change this to be a panel viewer that is our operator viewer. So now this is the virtual view of our scene from our master camera. Now if I move the light, we can see that it starts projecting on different surfaces. So let's move this light to a space that is normal. So if I move it to 0, so it's on the origin, and then let's move it down a meter, so it's at the edge, and then rotate it back up. And let's give our projector a normal field of view. So a short throw projector can do anywhere from sort of 75 to 90 degrees. So you can see that is roughly the way our projector is looking, but this is what it's uncovering. For my sanity, I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees so it looks the right way up in my viewer, and then increment it. So this rendered view here is exactly what the camera that is our projector is seeing. So the more I change the rotation, you can see that parts of it are opaque or transparent. And that's because it's just not seeing any of the object there. These lines with the numbers on them, I know are the middle of my dome. So as long as I can get it in a position where I can see the majority of the middle, then we should be okay to have a 2 projector dome. This image here is then added to a light that is connected to our camera that reprojects on top of the same surface using the same field of view as the view. It is then applied to a completely blank texture on a completely blank copy of our dome. We then look through our master camera at that dome and we can see what our projector is and isn't covering. So you can see if I change the field of view of our main projector, how drastically the projected image changes. Now, there's a lot of information here regarding sort of dome projection and angles of spheres that we just don't need to worry about because the light and the geometry calculator inside Touchdesigner takes care of that for us. So right now I'm going to put that to about 99 so it can cover the full half. And for sake of it, if we were to duplicate this, so control paste it, so we now have a second light. Let's move this one to the other side. Let's rotate it the right way. Same thing, I'm just going to rotate it so that I can see everything correctly. So now you can see that our master camera in our previewer is seeing pure white in the middle, and that's purely just because of how bright the projected image is. I'd have a few options. One, I can change the alpha of my projected mapped constant, and that basically just means it's going to accept less color. So you can see it's 50% transparent now, which is easier for me to work with, but it's not a true representation of what's being projected. Because of the way this works, that's not 100% necessary as long as this looks right. A really good method, and what we'll actually do later, is we're going to add a channel mix. We're going to add one of these to both sections. What we're going to do is we're going to remove certain colors from certain projectors. So this one is going to be 0.5, 0, 1. And this one is going to be 0.5, 1, and then 0. So now these are inverse colors from each other, so that when they overlap perfectly, we will get white, our original white image. And because we are still at 100% transparency, they will be 100% color white when on top of each other. This is a really good way for telling how well your blending is working, and that's why we use it in the final version. Because when you actually project it onto the final surface, you'll be able to tell whether it's mapped and it's blended correctly, because the object you see projected in your physical dome will be white. What we have just implemented there is the actual principle of projection mapping. Effectively, what our original image on projection mapping showed. We have made the projected image that is to be shown over the top of the physical image. So now, if I had a dome, 1 meter radius in every direction, and I was able to perfectly place a projector on its southern axis with a rotation of 117.9 degrees and 180 degrees, I could perfectly project this purple image. And same for the green one on the other side. If I could get it to 308.8 degrees and have it sitting upright, I could perfectly produce what we're seeing here. But the reason that projection mapping tools exist is because the probability of getting this to happen, even with the best build-in and fit-up, is not going to happen. There's going to be variation in what you can and can't produce. So we need to add something between this section here that will be our projection mapping tools. So the things that allow us to move and adjust our points in space ever so slightly, so altering this viewed image that is then reprojected ever so slightly, so that we can make what is in the real world a true representation or overlap properly. So we can adjust for those 0.1 and 0.2 degree variations. But before we do that, we're going to finalize our Projector toolkit. So if I go back to the plan, I was talking about building the purple stage when we have only just finished implementing these two sections of our projector calibrator. So now I'm going to work on the virtual projector controller and position and throw ratio. So basically going to build the UI and the calculator that works out the field of view and allows the user to position it and rotate it in the world. That will give us outputs for its position and its field of view, obviously, and then it will pass that into the camera directly. To begin implementing our projector controller, I'm going to place a blank container. I'm going to call it proj0 proj controller 0. I'm going to make it 1280 by 720. So what do we need in here? We need something to allow users to input their projector throw and then control the projector position, and this should be rotation. We then want to return calculated projector positions and angles for the projection matrix. So basically we want to fill out all these this information automatically based on what comes from here. So let's go inside, and I'm going to go back up to my control level, because if I turn this, let's see, green, you can see that we can see it on our panel, which is fine. I bring it up a layer just so it's the topmost thing. Our final product is going to sit with all our interfaces around here. Our control menu on the left hand side to make sure we get to the right subjects, so that we can control the projector offsets when we want to and control the matrix offset when we need to.
For now, we'll cut here and implement this in the next stage.